Hey, this is Dancing Rabbit, and welcome to another late, was the weekend pagan perspective. I truly apologize for my continual lateness. My day job is absolutely eating up every minute. Um, I even considered resigning from pagan perspective, taking a break or something, but I really need this contact with the pagan community, so I'd like to, for now, continue. It's just hard at my age to work 12, 13-hour days and then work on the weekends too sometimes. Anyway, enough of my problems. This week's question has to do with using pre-written spells and rituals versus creating your own. I take a sort of Bruce Lee approach to this, to use that which is useful. If it works, do it. If it kind of doesn't work, well, work on, maybe tweaking it a little bit, and then at some point you have to discard it and try something else. Maybe it won't work either, but, if you continue trying, not flitting from one thing to another, but if you continue trying, you'll find things that work. Okay, now really to get to the question. Um, I have seen and actually own a few books of spells that are sort of cookbookish, very specific. If you do this and you mix this and you say that, then poof, uh, alakazam, magic happens. I don't think much of that approach. I mean, I enjoy the Harry Potter books and movies, but that's really not the sort of magic that I do. Magic involves not so much the exact words or the exact motions or spell components, the herbs or whatever. Um, Doing works of magic, in my opinion, in my experience, involves raising energy, whether it's personal energy that you've raised through drumming, chanting, meditation, dance, um, intense concentration. Uh, there also needs to be a shift in consciousness into what Starhawk calls starlight vision, where you're in touch with your younger self, and through the younger self, you're you're able to contact the deeper or higher self, the God self within. So the exact words, unlike Harry Potter, it's not the swish and flick of the wand. It's the intent, the energy raised, the focusing it out, the change in consciousness that does it. Now, I think early on it's very useful to use pre-written, even somebody else's exactly out of the book ritual. There are a lot of good um, books that have good working rituals in them, and you may change them a little bit, but it's okay to use them directly from the book. I mean, you're not pretending that you wrote it. You're giving credit where credit is due. But I know when I first started, um, I used a lot of Starhawk's rituals from the Spiral Dance. Not so much spells in the sense of, I'm going to do something to get something, but I'm going to do something to produce a change, particularly in my own life. Very early on, and we're talking, maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, um, Scott Cunningham's Wicca for the Solitary Practitioner. I mean, it's a rather easy to read. He's a good writer. It's easy to read. It's simple, yet it does have a lot of profound knowledge in it. I mean, it's not annotated. There's not a lot of background as to where he's getting this stuff, and an awful lot is his own creative personal gnosis, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Anyway, I, for a year or so, used a lot of the better written spells and rituals verbatim from the book, and I would over time change them a little bit. I think that it's when you're starting out that is a good practice. Now, as you become more experienced and you have participated in quite a few other people's rituals, you've studied various kinds of spellcraft. I mean, the last several years I've been looking into brujeria and hoodoo, which are quite different magical systems. There's some commonality between that and the sort of Llewellyn book Wicca that I cut my teeth on, but they are quite different magical systems. Anyway, once you've got a variety of stuff under your belt, I think it's good to start making your own rituals. Now, in my book, Way of the Horned God, I have some example spells and example rituals, and then I deconstruct them. Like, why did I do this? What did this mean? What was the purpose of moving in this direction, or using this color, or that spellcraft item? Now, how could you modify it? How could you take the basic template, the framework that I've shown you, the example that I've shown you, and create your own? Because ultimately, that's where we're going if we're going to do spells, if we're going to do rituals. And I differentiate the two slightly. A spell or work of magic is relatively brief. It should take maybe, a few minutes, 10 minutes, 15 at tops to do. And you're doing it to produce a particular change, either internal or external. Whereas a ritual is much longer. In my tradition, there's the casting of the circle, calling of the quarters, invoking the deity. And I use the word ritual to talk about much longer activities, at least 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe more. And it's for celebration, for worship of the deities, rather than to specifically put out energy and do something. So, I hope that this has been helpful. I'm sorry that it's been kind of late. I need to go ahead and stop recording and head out to work. So hopefully next time I'll be a little more prompt. And anyway, have a good one. Bye-bye.